LSU's had some really good quarterbacks come through their program recently. Joe Burrow won a Heisman Trophy. Jayden Daniels also won a Heisman Trophy. And their current starting quarterback, who I like, Garrett Nussmeier. But there was one quarterback who played for the Tigers over 10 plus years ago who could absolutely sling the rock, and that is no other than Zach Mettenberger. He was pretty dang solid if you could ask me. He doesn't get talked about enough or gets the recognition I feel like he deserves because he doesn't have anything to show for it. Didn't win a Heisman Trophy, didn't lead LSU to a national championship, therefore people tend to forget about you. Here's a $1 million question though, and it's the main reason we're making this video. What happened to Zach Mettenberger? You already know, to get into his story, we gotta throw it all the way back to where things started. Coming out of high school, Mettenberger was a 4-star recruit, and here's a fun fact for you. He didn't start out at LSU. He originally committed and signed with Georgia. How about that? You want to talk about the butterfly effect? Look no farther than this. He competed with Aaron Murray for the starting job. He did redshirt in 2009, but while he was competing with Aaron Murray, he got in a wee bit of trouble. I say wee bit of trouble. It was more so of a lot of bit in trouble. He got kicked off of the team. Mark Richt kicked him off of the team because he pled guilty to not one but 2 misdemeanor counts of sexual battery. I'm going to read this off word for word. This is the official report. Mettenberger was sentenced to 2 concurrent 12-month periods of probation under the state's First Offender Act. Miller said Mettenberger was also ordered to pay $2,000 in fines and perform 40 hours of community service, was banished from the city of Valdosta, and is to have no contact with the victim. You're probably sitting here wondering, Matt, holy crap, what did this guy do? And here it is, to make a long story short. He was in the bar, may have or may not have been slightly intoxicated, and he touched a woman inappropriately. He got really lucky too because there were 4 to 5 other charges that got dismissed. His collegiate career got off to a shaky start. After that stint with Georgia, he transferred to Butler Community College. Like you expect any 4-star recruit to do, he dominated there. Had over 2,600 passing yards, 32 touchdowns to only 4 interceptions, and he led them to the national championship game. With him getting his act together and showing these teams, look, I'm a really good player, I just made a bad mistake, all these big-time programs, they started offering him again. The one school that stood the most to him was no other than the LSU Tigers. Go Tigers, shout out to Ed Ogeron. He would arrive on the campus in 2011, but he wouldn't wind up winning the starting job until 2012, which would be his junior season. He got off to a really good start. Next thing you know, you look up, LSU is 5-0 heading into a top 10 matchup with the Florida Gators. Florida would win this game because Mettenberger and the LSU offense, they struggled mightily. They only put up 6 points. LSU would bounce back and upset number 3 ranked South Kakalaki 23-21 and beat top 25 ranked A&M 24-19. They then had a primetime top 5 matchup with one of their biggest rivals, Alabama. LSU and Mettenberger had this game won. They outplayed Alabama, especially in the second half. But then the TJ Yeldon infamous screenplay happened. I can't find the exact stat line, but I think it was something like before that final touchdown drive that A.J. McCarron led Alabama on to win the game 21-17, McCarron only had 6 passing yards in the entire second half. It was crazy. I know LSU fans don't want to relive that, but the one downside to losing this game is nobody recalls how great Mettenberger performed. He outplayed A.J. McCarron. He was 24 for 35, had 300 passing yards, 1 touchdown, 0 interceptions, almost a perfect QBR of 95.1. LSU played good enough to win, but give credit to Alabama, they made some big-time plays at the end, and they pulled it out. Looking back on it, if LSU would have beat Bama, they then proceeded to run the table. That means they would have played Georgia in the SEC championship like Alabama did, and then if they would have beat Georgia, they would have played Notre Dame in the national championship, and we know who would have won that one. I mean, come on now, it didn't matter if it was LSU, Georgia, or Alabama playing Notre Dame. Notre Dame was going to get steamrolled. It's cool to look back at this and see just how close LSU was to actually getting to that championship in 2012. I digress. I don't want to play the what-if game too long. They proceed to go on and finish the year strong, 10-2. They won out. Mettenberger was doing Mettenberger things. Unfortunately, they lost the bowl game to Clemson, 25-24. I'll show you his stats right here. Completed 59% of his passes, not the best. 2,600 passing yards, 12 touchdowns, and 7 interceptions. Heading into his senior year, which would be 2013, there was high expectations, and it was eerily similar to a 2012 season. LSU was a couple plays away. Starting out the year hot, 4-0, beat a top 25 team in TCU and also beat one of their rivals, Auburn. But then they would run into a shootout with the Georgia Bulldogs. They did not lose this game because of Mettenberger. He put up 41 points, but the defense gave up 44. And guess who was the quarterback for Georgia at the time? The guy who Mettenberger was once competing with, Aaron Murray. But like I said, Mettenberger did his thing. 23 for 37, 372 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, 0 INTs, QBR right at 90. You got to remember, this is back in 2013. I know LSU fans have been spoiled with quarterback play with Joe Burrow, even Nussmeier sometimes, Jayden Daniels. But for an LSU quarterback to have nearly 400 passing yards, that was not normal. Dare I say this was almost the start of LSU slowly but surely transferring into a more, I'm not going to say like predominantly passing offense, but they passed it more than they did in like 2007, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. You get the point. They'd win their next couple games against Mississippi State, put up a 59-burger, beat Florida, but then they lost a heartbreaker to Ole Miss by 3 points. So you can see the pattern here. Lost to Georgia, 3 points, and lost to Ole Miss by 3 points. They had the rematch with Bama, didn't stand a chance on Alabama's home field in Bryant-Denny Stadium. Alabama steamrolled them. LSU finished the year on a strong note yet again, won 3 straight, including the bowl game against Iowa. But sadly for Mettenberger, he tore his ACL in the regular season finale against Arkansas. This was bad news because this was his final collegiate game, which meant heading into the NFL draft, he's going into it as a hurt player, and no team wants to draft a hurt player. We all know this. Despite the ACL tear, he got selected in the 6th round with the 178th overall pick by the Tennessee Titans. One thing I got to throw in there before I forget, and it's to give you some more perspective, Mettenberger was an NFL scout's dream. 6'5", 225, perfect and ideal build. He had a pretty strong arm too, so there was a lot to like about his game. There was just 2 red flags. Number 1, the injuries coming off of, and number 2, consistency. Normally, I'd say, 98, 99% of the times, a 6th-round quarterback selection isn't going to be starting more than 1 or 2 games for the team he goes to, especially his rookie season, right? Well, for Mettenberger, that wasn't the case. He started 6 games as a rookie in 2014. Granted, the Titans were bunzos, but that's besides the point. He's a starting quarterback in the NFL. There's not a nice way to say this. The Titans, they sucked, and this is right before they got that first overall pick, and they would eventually take Marcus Mariota from Oregon. I'm not going to sit up here and say Mettenberger was complete trash for the Titans in 2014, because he wasn't, but there's one thing for sure. He wasn't lighting it on fire. He wasn't good. In those 6 games he started, he went 0-6. You never like to see that. Completed 60% of his passes. That's actually pretty solid for a rookie. 8 touchdowns to 7 interceptions. Anytime a rookie can have a positive touchdown to interception ratio, you'll take that. But there was never the thought of, not even for a split second of, oh yeah, Zach Mettenberger, we're going to make him the franchise quarterback. He's the future of the Titans. No. It's as simple as this. He was a bridge quarterback. Let's not overcomplicate it. Everybody knew this back then, and if you didn't know it then, I'm telling you now. Bridge quarterback. If you don't know what a quote-unquote bridge quarterback means, I'll dumb it down. If you ever hear me say it in a future video, you also know what I'm talking about. A bridge quarterback is a guy who's just there to buy the team some time. Case in example here, Mettenberger was the bridge to Marcus Mariota or whoever they would have selected number 1 overall in the draft. Can't dumb it down any more than that. In 2015, with Marcus Mariota getting injured, he also started 4 games that year and went 0-4. So, up to date in his career, first 10 starts, 0-10. That's got to be some type of record. Completed 61% of his passes. That's not too shabby. Had 4 touchdowns. That decreased. And 7 interceptions. So he regressed a little bit in the touchdown to interception ratio. He would be released by the Titans in May of 2016. And the very next day, he got picked up by the San Diego Chargers. Heading into the following season, he got cut by the Chargers and he would pick up with the Steelers. He was on the Steelers that entire season, but never played a snap for them. Not one. In the offseason of 2017, he got waived, and he would then decide, all right, I'm probably not going to make it in the NFL, so let me try my luck elsewhere. And he would join the AAF, which is the Alliance of American Football League. Nothing worth mentioning came out of that. The league wound up ceasing their operations almost as quickly as it began. Fast forward time into 2020, he would put his playing days aside, and he would pursue coaching. This is when he joined Hillsborough High School as the new offensive coordinator. Did decent for them, and in 2021, he was announced as the assistant football coach for Father Ryan High School. And here's a full circle moment. In February 2022, he joined Alabama. Yes, his old rival Alabama as a coaching analyst. Things went good there. I'm sure he learned a lot under Nick Saban, but he would return back to Father Ryan High School as offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach. And the newest of new updates is in February 2025, which wasn't too long ago, about, 4, 5, 6 months ago, he was announced as the new head coach, not assistant, head coach at Father Ryan High School. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, that is the newest of new updates on Zach Mettenberger. I got to clap it up to him. Clap it up. I'm happy for you, brother, and I'm wishing you a ton of success and best of luck in the future and in your coaching career. All in all, if I had to analyze his career, I'd go with this. In college, he was a good quarterback. In the NFL, not so much, but you also got to take into account he was playing for a terrible NFL team in the Titans. I think he's going to do just fine as a coach. Many more things I could say. I'm curious to know your thoughts down below. But